Well, hello everyone, and welcome to RTB, your Resilience Toolbox, a place where we get to learn, share, and grow together. I am really excited today to have my friend Kay Torreira joining us all the way from Zimbabwe. Hi, Kay. Welcome to RTB.
Hello, Nikki. Thank you so much. I'm really excited to be speaking to you today.
It is so great. And if everyone could know what we've gone through to actually get this episode recorded, well, then we would be applauded, I think, for our resilience. It has been...
Yeah, they don't call it Resilience Toolbox for nothing. I think we've really had to exercise that muscle to get this going. There were so many technical challenges, and we are finally doing it. So yay, we're finally getting through.
We are finally here. Well, thank you for your persistence with this as well. So for everyone who's listening, Kay is a lecturer from a university in Zimbabwe. And I met Kay through a Toastmasters program where she presented a speech and won a regional competition with this speech. And the speech was about resilience. And I thought, well, what better guest to have on RTB than somebody who has spent a lot of time digging into what resilience is and what it means to her. And I thought a great way for us to start was to actually hear that speech. So for the next few minutes, Kay, I'm going to hand the floor over to you, and this will set the scene for our ongoing conversation after that about resilience. So over to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Nikki. This is a story that is near and dear to my heart. As a lecturer, I work with the youth. So whenever I see the challenges that they are having with their mental health, with their ability to bounce back from obstacles, for me, that's really inspiration. And that is one of the things that really pushed this speech to the center of my mind. So it's something that I really want to share with everyone today. So my story is entitled Made When We Break. I went to a high school with one of the strangest traditions you will ever hear of. Here I am, a tiny 13-year-old junior in my first week at boarding school, being grilled by a giant of a prefect. Where is she? I want to see her. Here she is. Good. Now, whatever you do, make sure she doesn't break. You see, every junior in my high school was instructed to go to the school kitchen, ask for a raw egg, and adopt that egg for a week. The rules were simple. Number one, you had to treat your egg like a baby, so it had to have a name and a face. Number two, you had to take your egg baby with you everywhere you went.
Ooh.
Number three, and this was the most important rule, never, I mean never, was your egg baby allowed to break. I listened carefully to the rules, and I heard it when the prefect explained that this exercise was designed to teach us how to be resilient and responsible. But all I was thinking was, this is weird. But I didn't dare challenge a prefect. I decided to call my egg Meg. Meg, the egg. That works, right?
Yeah.
On the first night with Meg, I wrapped her up in layers of tissue and put her into a shoebox. The next morning, after I had shown her to the prefect during inspection, I decided that there was no way I was going to take this egg with me to class. I mean, that was ridiculous. Why were we even doing this silly exercise? So I took my egg, Meg, and I put her back into the shoebox until I caught a glimpse of the face that I had drawn on her. She was just too cute that I just had to take her with me to class. So I put her in my bag and off we went. It wasn't until the last period of the day that I remembered that I had put Meg in my bag. It was physics class, and the teacher was explaining the laws that define the breaking point of an object. That's when my thoughts drifted to Meg. She must be in so much danger in my bag. There were a whole host of things in there that might harm her. My ruler might slash her. My pencil case might crush her. And oh my goodness, my history book might, well, make her history. In a panic, I knew that I just had to rescue Meg from my bag. And just as soon as I had done so, the bell rang, signaling the end of the school day. In the excitement of having ended class, one of the boys in my class bumped into me, and I'm sure you can imagine that we almost lost Meg. Almost. That was close. After that incident, I decided to hold Meg in both of my hands for my journey back to the dorm room. I wasn't willing to take any chances, and I wasn't willing to have any horrible confrontations with my prefect about this issue. So I was very careful. As soon as I got there, back in my dorm room, I put Meg on top of my cupboard. I just wanted to admire her. She was in great shape, so I was obviously doing an excellent job of looking after her. I spun her around just to make sure that there were absolutely no cracks, and then splat. Oh my goodness, there she was on the floor. She had fallen from my cupboard, and now her yolk was bleeding out of her shell. Her life was draining away. Just like that, things had fallen apart. When I bent down to pick up the broken pieces, a strange thing happened. It was almost as if I heard this inner voice, but I made this inner voice sound a little bit like it was Meg, and it was Meg saying to me, you know, you could have let me hatch into a chick. Instead, here I am, splat on the floor. I could have evolved into a being with wings and a heartbeat. Instead, this is what has happened. I had an inner knowing that Meg was right. You see, an egg, it will break. That's a given. But it's what happens afterwards that's important. Meg had broken down into a mess. But just imagine, Meg could have broken through and hatched into new life. Just like an egg, we will all experience brokenness at some point in our lives. That's a given. Look around you. Because of the coronavirus, the world itself feels broken. On a personal level, you may have experienced a painful breakup, a heartbreaking loss, a broken family, broken promises, or being plain old-fashioned broke. But when any of these things happen to you, you have a choice. You can either choose to break down, or you can choose to break free, break the cycle, break the silence, and break out of your shell. For that is how you will break through into new life. The strangest school tradition was designed to teach me how to be responsible, but it ended up teaching me something even more important. Life can break you, but breaking can give you life. Over to you, Nikki.
Wow, thank you, Kay. I think that is such a phenomenally powerful speech. You're a very, very accomplished speaker. And what a great story, but what an amazing experience to go through as a young child, 13 years.
Yeah.
And
it was one of those strange initiation practices that we did at our school. I'm sure everybody has their own stories from high school, but this one was meaningful because I learned something really important along the way.
yeah, I mean, so I'm just wondering, it was about teaching responsibility, and I've heard about, those kinds of activities doing that before. But the fact that you learned something different, was that something that came to you at the time? Was that at that age you realized, wait a minute, I'm actually learning something deeper about resilience?
It came to me after I had experienced life itself. With life, you experience so many disillusionments, so many disappointments, so many discouragements. And through all of those experiences, I realized, listen, there's got to be a reason why we sometimes feel broken in our lives. It can't all be in vain. And we can't just resign to it and say, okay, I feel broken and I'm just never going to come out of this. I'm never going to be able to bounce back. But through that, whatever feelings of discouragement that you're feeling, that might be an opportunity for you to look at life with a new perspective and to realize that actually this might be a way for me to grow. This might be a way for me to find some kind of renewal, some sense of renewal in my life. So that's something that came through experience, life's experiences, when life throws you difficulties and then you have to figure out a way of coming out stronger on the other side. That was an insight that came through life experience.
Many of our insights come through life experience, us going through the hardships and struggling with them, and gaining learning along the way, and that is really important. But I also wonder if we're helped at a younger age to prepare ourselves a little bit better, to be able to anticipate these things. For example, I wonder how things would have been different for you if they had helped you after that activity see what you saw later in life. If that had been the eventual outcome, so it's not just responsibility, but look what we can learn from a breaking egg. Imagine if you had learned and heard that at the young age of 13. I wonder how that would have impacted you differently.
Sometimes when we go through these difficulties, it can really just be one of those stumbling blocks that makes you think, what's going on? My life is a mess. But if you realize that actually brokenness is universal, we're all going to experience it. It's something that's inevitable. So when it does happen, you're not shook. You realize that this is just a part of life, and it's one of the ways that you can grow and develop into something better. So I think it's important for young people to realize that whenever incidences that seem like they're going to shatter your life happen, it's just part of the process. Every single person has experienced something like that before, and you will make it through. Trust me, you will get onto the other side stronger than ever before.
I think we love to attach ourselves to things as humans. We like to attach ourselves, and we like to think that thing is going to be there forever. And we're often encouraged to think that way. Exactly, the egg scenario. We're encouraged to keep it whole, keep it safe, keep it permanently there.
Keep it intact, no matter what.
Yeah, that's not reality. And so being taught from a young age how to think about impermanence, how to be okay with change and failure and loss, I think is something that maybe the adults out there need to help the young people more, and young adolescents need to help younger children.
Absolutely, because if you look at the way that we are taught, the school system generally is designed to help build your intellect. So there's a huge emphasis on your IQ, your intellectual intelligence. And in recent years, people have been also talking about this idea of emotional intelligence, which is how to deal with your emotions. But recently, I discovered another metric, and that is the adversity quotient. And this is something that I had never heard my entire life. I only recently discovered it at the university that I work, when the dean of students was talking about students' ability to be able to deal with challenges, the challenges that the youth face, the challenges that we all face on an everyday basis. And that is called the adversity quotient. There's some people that are well equipped to deal with challenges when they crop up. And then there's some people who literally crumble when something doesn't go their way. But the adversity quotient is something that can be developed. It's just basically understanding how to keep going, how to keep pushing, and realizing that whatever challenges you're facing are not here to break you. They're not permanent, like what you're saying, and you will get through them. So it's about having grit. And I think grit is really one of those important skills that we all need to develop.
A statement I read earlier: adversity provides opportunity for growth. And that's exactly, exactly what you're saying. You know, this adversity quotient. If we are so used to things going perfectly, going normally, or we're super protected all the way through our childhood and our adolescent years, when things do happen, we won't have the foundations. We won't know how to deal with them. And so when things happen from a younger age, we start getting equipped from earlier on. So if you think, you mentioned the current pandemic, COVID-19, you know, the adversity quotient that young people have had to build during this time is phenomenal.
Yeah.
You know, realizing that all the things that were known as absolute, as definite, I will go to school every day and I will probably some days struggle and not want to go, but I will go every day, and that is guaranteed. And then suddenly COVID-19 happens, and it changes that thing that was certain in your life has now suddenly changed and gone. And learning how to understand that and react to that, I think, is a phenomenal gift that has been given to the youth.
I read about this woman. She's an entrepreneur. Her name is Sarah Blakely, if I'm not mistaken. And she was talking about how she was raised. And she was raised in an environment where whenever she would come home from school, her father would ask her, "What did you fail as today?" And if she had not failed at anything, then her father would say, "Listen, you need to keep failing. You need to keep trying new things, because when you fail, failure is basically a sign or a symptom that you're trying new things. You know, you're not staying safe. When you fail at a small level or a micro level, then when you fail at a big level, you won't be too taken aback because you're used to failure." So I think it's something that we need to train our children to fail. Let them fail. They shouldn't be afraid of failure, because once you're not afraid of failure, then you're not afraid of adversity. And when adversity knocks on your door, you'll be able to handle it much better.
I love that. I love that. Michael Jordan has said, "I have failed so many times, which is why I succeed."
I love that.
There we have it. Isn't that cool? So Kay, now you're a lecturer, so you work and you're surrounded by young people with your work every day. What kind of things are you seeing affecting the youth around you, and are they equipped? Are they handling it in the way that you think shows that they've got this adversity quotient?
So I think one of the main challenges that the youth are facing, but I wouldn't just say it's a youthful problem. I think even adults and just the whole society in general is facing is this comparison epidemic brought about by social media, because we are now spending so much time on our phones, on Facebook, on Instagram, and you get to see these people living glamorous lives. Some of these people are your peers, and you look at your own life and it doesn't seem to be quite making the mark, and you start to feel really down about yourself. So I think that's one of the major things that people are facing right now, the comparison epidemic. And it's something that you really have to be aware of. If social media is making you feel down, then maybe you need to cut down on the amount of time that you're spending on it and focus on your own life. After all, we are all running our own individual races, so we really shouldn't be comparing ourselves to other people.
I don't know, is a natural thing of humanity, and somehow social media has, well, it's identified that and it's using it to manipulate us. And I think it's very interesting to know that many of the actual designers of a lot of these social media tools and apps and various things, many of them actually don't even let their own children use them.
Really? Wow.
Because of a recognition of the damage that they can do.
Yeah.
And so I think that's really something for all of us to think about. I think the more that we think about that and realize that, then maybe we'll start separating ourselves a little bit, being able to look at your phone and go and being, okay, interesting. And then putting it down and not letting it influence your perception of yourself. They are disconnected from each other, those two things.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have done a lot of thinking about resilience. You have connected a lot with young people and watched the way that they manage themselves. And I want to know, you're talking about this adversity quotient. So we need to build up. You say we can build and develop our resilience. So it's not like we're just born as resilient people and suddenly we've got it all going on. These are things that we can build up and increase our adversity quotient over time. Yeah. I want to hear what your top 3 adversity tools are that you want to throw in the toolbox and suggest to us.
I'd have to say that the first thing is to detox, purging yourself of all of the things that are harmful to you, harmful to your progress, harmful to your success, harmful to your sense of well-being and your sense of peace as well. And we all know on an individual level the kinds of things that we need to stop doing. And when we're talking about detoxing, I can't help but think about toxic positivity. We live in a culture where people are always saying, stay positive, think positive, speak positive all the time. And yes, positivity is a good thing. But positivity can become toxic when it is excessive and when it starts to make you feel stuck. Because if you look at your whole life and you speak positive things about it, you might not be able to be honest with yourself when you need to adjust certain areas of your life. So I think it's really important to be honest about your life. So be positive, but also be honest. Tip number 2 would be filling yourself up with good stuff. And for me, I have found my faith to be one of the ways that I get a lot of comfort, one of the ways that I really feel strengthened. And, whenever I'm reading the Bible and I realize that I have a savior where I can go and lay my burdens, then I feel a sense of relief. And whatever challenges I may be facing seems small in comparison to the savior who is able to carry those burdens for me. So I find so much comfort and joy in that as well. My third tip would be to express yourself. I am a creative person by nature. I teach design. I am a designer. If you look at the painting behind me, that is something that I created on my own. So whenever I'm feeling down in the dumps, I always run to creativity. If I can express it through art or through writing a speech or delivering that speech, then I feel like a burden has been lifted. And, if your creative expression is writing or speaking, then that's a great way of not just healing yourself, but healing others too, because you can turn your mess into a message. But some people might be thinking, well, I'm not creative. And I'd have to say, you're wrong, because we are all creative. We are all innately creative. To be human means to be able to create. So figure out your own way of expressing yourself and use that as one of your therapeutic tools to get through whatever challenges you may be facing.
I love being creative, but I often make a very big mess. And
that's okay too.
But so that's exactly it. I enjoy doing it, and it doesn't need to be this perfect outcome or something that somebody wants on their wall. So enjoyable, and it distracts me. So it's a place that for half an hour I can go in and I can just mess with paint, and at the end I won't do anything with the thing that I've painted because it's usually quite a mess. But it's a beautiful mess because I feel awesome after that. And I think that's the nice thing with being creative. It's the process. Go, find that thing that you enjoy doing. It doesn't matter if you're not the best at it or even good at it. It is irrelevant. It's just enjoying it, having fun, and realizing that is important. Just enjoying something and having fun are crucial for your adversity quotient. Knowing those things that are just having fun is one of the top adversity quotient tools that you can have.
Yeah. It's so good for your mental health.
I love those tools. We've got detox. So identify those things that aren't helpful or progressive to you and move them out. You have faith. So you've got a big focus on helping identifying that stronger power that can help you. And you've got creativity, emotional expression. Just have fun, work through those emotions, just let them out in some way. And I think those are really important tools that you've added today. And also, I love the story that you've brought. I think it's really brought home. It's quite tangible, isn't it? Like we can just think about us as an egg. And yes, eggs break all the time. And we can then take control and think, okay, what do I want to do with this break that is happening? Do I want to splat on the floor, or do I want to come out as a nice little fluffy chick, which is going to continue growing? So thank you very, very much for your contribution today to our resilience toolbox. And
thank you so much, Nikki. I really enjoyed my time with you and your viewers.
So to the audience out there, I want you to remember that the resilience toolbox gets filled with tools, but tools can only be used if they're not rusty. So think about what Kay spoke about today. Listen to this again, see if something resonates with you, and start adopting it and practicing it in your life. Keep your tools useful so that when you really, really need them, they're already at your side. So the resilience toolbox, keep it at your side at all times and keep sharing, learning, and growing together. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you, Kay. Goodbye.